buck with y'all, man. Your man Louie T ain't shit. I've been dropping the ball left and right on y'all, and I apologize. How many podcasts am I behind in terms of uploading these to Libsyn and getting it, out to all the various streaming platforms? I'm gonna get my life together, man. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I haven't told anyone but the Mob Squad members, the gold members. I'm gonna tell y'all something today. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you on the other side of this intro. You are dialed in to the 216th installment of the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 216th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. I started out by telling you guys I'm going to get my life together. I got a lot of stuff going on, and I never want any pity or sympathy from anybody. This is why I keep all of this stuff to myself, because at the end of the day, nobody cares, really. Nobody cares about what you have going on. Just find a way to get it done. That's generally how things work in this life. So, but when they start to impact, production and the way things go, and really, no excuses. I just need to be better, to be honest with you. But I do need to tell you guys this anyway, because we're getting close, and you're going to see me, having to adjust my schedule, and things may go dark for a little while there because life happens. So, again, the mob members already know this. I've already told them this, and I'm shocked. They've done such a tremendous job of keeping this under wraps, because once I told them, I expected somebody to, in a random video in the chat, to say, hey, how's your wife doing with the twins? I was expecting somebody to do that. Nobody did. So shout out to y'all holding it down, right? Anyway, my wife, as I just mentioned briefly in passing, is pregnant. And not only is she pregnant, she's pregnant with twins. So I not only have one in the oven, I got two in the oven. And now we're getting close, when you start pulling that item out of the oven and poking and prodding to see if it's almost done. Like if you got a cake, you stick a knife in there to see if there's any batter on that knife. And if it's a little bit of, residue, you stick the cake back in there and you let it go for a little bit longer. We're getting to that point now. Okay. We're getting to that point where you're taking the turkey out of the oven, you're basting it a little bit, and you're checking that little pin to see how far it's up. And you're like, okay, just a little bit longer. All right. Just baste it a little bit to make sure it doesn't dry out. You stick it back in that one final time. We're coming down home stretch now. So things are going all over the place, as you could imagine. And so y'all just got to bear with the kid. I'm going to try to keep the schedule as normal as possible, but damn near impossible. Okay. So just bear with me when you see shit going haywire and I haven't posted on a Friday pod or haven't posted on a, Wednesday, why. Okay. I got a lot of stuff that I'm over here juggling, man. So I'm finally letting you guys know, because shit's kind of going off the rails a bit, like no Friday pod this past week. So when things like that start to happen with more regularity, haven't uploaded these to Libsyn like I should have to get them disseminated to all the different platforms out there, these things are going to get done. But just know that, and I think, I thought I had already uploaded all of my Louie T Network exclusives onto the website, but I had multiple people hit me and say, hey, everything good? Where's the updated, sheets and things like that? And I'm like, it's already up there. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it didn't show up initially, but I had already done that. But again, that's why things are being done a little bit later than normal. So now you have a little bit of insight as to why things are going the way that they have been going. And hopefully I can get a little bit of your mercy now. Okay. But anyway, I digress. I want to talk about the trade deadline. We started this topic last week, or was it the week before that? I think it was last week. Might have been the week before that. I think it was the week before last, because I talked about Zach Ertz being a guy that could potentially go, and he went. Or I might have left him out of that conversation. When we talked about the players being potentially trade bait early in the season, he was one of the names. I think I didn't mention him, and he ended up getting traded. And, we talk about the trade deadline all the time in the National Football League. And it's amazing how in other sports, the trade deadline is truly impactful. Teams win and lose championships strictly based off of moves made at the trade deadline. Like you're literally looking at an Atlanta Braves team that was reshaped and modeled and remade at the trade deadline. They're not where they are right now without Eddie Rosario, who is the NLCS MVP. Like, they're not where they are without Adam Duvall's production. They're not where they are without Jorge Soler and what he was able to bring to the table. Like, this is a Jock Peterson. These players came and helped the Atlanta Braves get to where they are right now, 4 wins away from hoisting the trophy in Major League Baseball. So we know about the NBA trade deadline. You need a shooter, you need a 3-and-D guy, you go get him at the trade deadline. You think you're 1 or 2 pieces, you need a point guard, you need a backup point, you go get him at the trade deadline. That may put you over the top to win a championship. We've seen it happen in the NBA. It's rare that happens in the NFL. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and transition to the Gem Droppin Session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T.E.E. Let me open you up. Thinking a little bit. So, you rarely see NFL trades truly impact a team that season. You may trade for a guy and the thought process, like Jimmy Garoppolo, for instance. The 49ers traded for him that season, not for that season, but for future seasons. Like, hey, this is going to be our guy moving forward. Rarely do you see teams trade for a player in season that they expect for that player to help put them over the top. It's almost like in the NFL, it's bass backwards how the trade deadline works. Instead of good teams looking to strengthen their team during the trade deadline, it's the bad teams trying to get a discount on some items that may be lingering out there that they say to themselves, hey, they're giving this guy away for a 3rd-round pick. I think we should take our swing at this guy right now. We think right now, and he's not going to make a huge difference this year, but next year, yeah, we think this guy could be a part of the long-term solution here. And so you see more of that in the NFL than you do a team like Arizona, who I love what they did by going and getting Zach Ertz. Did you see the impact that he had in the game on Sunday? Like, he's already making himself a huge part of that offense. I said all of that to say this. Deshaun Watson is dangling out there, and I've been adamant I didn't think he was going to get traded this year. I thought it was going to be next year in the offseason when the Texans know exactly what they're getting. And, there's this false narrative out there. Hey, I don't see why a team wouldn't go and get him. You should be able to get him for a discounted rate. Who the hell said the Texans are giving out any discounts here? The Texans aren't giving out any discounts. If they were, a deal would be made already. The fact of the matter is the Texans are still trying to bust somebody over the head, as they should. 25-year-old quarterbacks going into the prime of their career don't get traded in the NFL. It never happens. Not sometimes. Not once in a lifetime. It never happens. Well, it's happening. So they need to extract every ounce of value they can, and don't think for 1 second because of these, pending charges, whether civil or criminal wise, that they're going to be giving out a discount to anybody. They're currently paying Deshaun Watson to stay away, not because they're looking to give him away, but because they're looking to get as much value out of him as an asset as possible. So they're not giving anything away. So this narrative of, hey, you should be able to get him on a discount. Our team should be interested. There's no discounts being had here. Okay? There's no discounts. There's no sales. You ever been to Ross? And you go to Ross during a holiday and you say, hey, you guys don't have sales? And they say, no, we're Ross. We give you everyday low prices every day. So no, you don't get extra deals on items here because it's Black Friday. You get those same Black Friday prices, $365 here at Ross. That's how the Texans are looking at Deshaun Watson. You ain't getting no discounts here with the Houston Texans on Deshaun Watson. The price is what it is. Either you can pay it or we'll find somebody else that will. So now it seems like it's heating up. And I'm hearing sources that are close to the situation say, hey, shit's going down this week. Now, the trade deadline is officially over on November 2nd. That's a Tuesday. Okay, so next Tuesday on November 2nd at 4 o'clock. And you know, all deadlines in the NFL end at 4. Whether it's the franchise tag deadline or you're starting a new league year, that happens at 4 o'clock. Or you're having a trade deadline, 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock is always, and it's usually either Tuesday or Wednesday where the NFL has a deadline or they start something new. It's usually on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Well, this deadline is on a Tuesday, November 2nd at 4 p. Something has to give if the Texans want to move him, if the Dolphins are truly interested, if the Panthers, who have now realized Sam Darnold is not the answer, they just benched him on Sunday versus the Giants. So they are now interested in Deshaun Watson, and they're kicking themselves. And I don't blame them for kicking the tires on Sam Darnold, for figuring out, hey, is this guy legit or what? Like, was it just a bad environment or does he really stink? I think they figured it out. You know, he really stinks. And so now they're like, damn, those are some assets that we could have used to try to acquire Deshaun Watson. But hey, they had to try. And it was a lot cheaper to go get Sam Darnold. So that experiment failed. So now they're interested. And the Broncos are like, damn, we thought Teddy Bridgewater was going to be the answer. You know, short term, not long term, but short term, give us a chance. Yeah, about that. You know what? We're interested in Watson too. We'd like to take our hand at that. So now you've got 3 teams that are in this thing. And there could be more. I don't know if the Eagles are in that. You remember the Eagles, if you remember once upon a time early in the season, the Eagles were rumored to be hot and heavy after Watson, and that quickly disseminated. Whatever, I never believed it because I'm like, they still haven't figured out what the deal is with, you know, Jalen Hurts yet, but they could easily slide back into this thing. It'll be interesting to see because right now the word out on the street is that if you're going to get Watson, you got to beat the Dolphins. They're ready, willing, and able to give up anything that it'll take to get him. And so if I'm the Texans, I've got this phone with the Dolphins on the line, and I've got their offer. And I know their offer is great because they want Watson back. And I've got all the other teams lined up on different phones here. And I'll go to this team and I say, hey, Miami's giving us this. What you got? And if they go, no, okay, hang up on them. They're not serious. And then you pick up the phone for Denver. Hey, Miami's giving us this. What you trying to do? And they're like, okay, here's what we got. You're like, okay, that's intriguing. Hold, please. Put them on hold. You pick up the phone. Hey, Carolina, man, look, talk to me. Talk with some sense, too, because Denver just made me a nice little offer, but this is what the Dolphins are talking about. All right? Talk to me. And then they say, all right, look, this is what we're going to do. And you say, okay, that sounds really good. You put them on hold and you go back to Miami. You say, hey, I just got off the phone with Carolina, man. These boys are talking greasy. I'm talking about they want to throw in Christian McCaffrey. Now, and that's not going to happen, but they want to throw in Brian Burns. Again, I don't think that's happening, but you see where I'm going with this. And they want to throw in, 3 ones. What you got? So I would, again, pit these teams against each other, drive that price up. And ultimately, if someone's desperate enough, and I think obviously someone's gonna bite the bait. I truly believe that Watson will be traded. I still am not adamant that it happens before the trade deadline, but he will be traded. That is fact now. The fact that the Texans are paying him to stay away means they're going to move him. It's just a matter of when and to whom and for what. That's what we're trying to figure out. I think the Dolphins are the front runners. It's just amazing to me that they've already made a determination on Tua already. Maybe I'm just not seeing it the way that they are, and everybody just is. And I'm not there in the building. Everybody's convinced Tua stinks. Am I alone in thinking that Tua's not terrible? He's salvageable? Like, am I missing something? I feel like I am, because the Dolphins have already made up their mind on Tua. They had made their mind up on Tua before the season started, which is where the Deshaun Watson to Miami rumors came from in the first place. They had already made their mind up. They had already contacted Houston, and there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, Tua's cool, but Deshaun Watson is game-changing. I get that. Anybody that has a chance to upgrade their team with Deshaun Watson should do it. I got no problems with that. I just find it odd that you drafted Tua last year. You knew he was coming off of a hip injury, all right? And so he had hip surgery, and you weren't going to get the best of Tua quite yet. Yet you've already made a clear determination that he's not the guy. Interesting. And the Texans, and this is the part that kills me, the Texans are like, yeah, and about Tua, we don't want his ass in this deal. We just want the draft capital. Now, if you want to give us a stud defensive player, we'll take that, but we don't want Tua. I'm like, you don't want Tua either. What is going on out here? Something's got to give. The clock is ticking if someone's going to get this deal done. And to me, it makes a ton of sense to get it done now, because if the Texans know exactly what your draft pick is, and let's say you're Carolina. Carolina's not terrible. They're not good, but they're not terrible. Let's say Carolina wins 7 games this year and they end up with the 12th pick in the draft, 13th pick in the draft. And Houston's starting to weigh their options, and the Dolphins, who truly stink right now, they win 3 games and they've got the 2nd pick in the draft. Who the hell do you think Houston's really going to try and do a deal with? So if you're Carolina, if you're Denver, you've already won 3 games. I don't know if the Dolphins get to 4 wins this year. If you're the Panthers or the Denver Broncos, you're going to win 5, 6, 7 games this year. You've already got 3 wins. The Dolphins may not make it to 3. They probably will, but it's a chance that they don't. If you wait until the offseason, and now Houston's, and this is why I think Houston is better served just taking a step back and waiting. But again, I don't know what the price is now and what the price will be in the offseason. I just know if I'm Houston, I know what I'm getting. And again, it's only for 1 year. You may be getting the number 2 pick this year, and then you trade Watson to that team, and you've got 2 more first rounders coming your way. But of course, you trade Watson to that team, he's going to elevate them. They may be the 25th pick the next year, and then the 27th the year after that. That's why it's important that you get the most that you can out of this year's draft, because you know what you're getting. That's why I would wait till the offseason. Because if you trade him now, and let's say he goes, and whatever team he goes to, they're going to be better, right? Unless the NFL steps in and says, whoa. He can't play. Are you crazy? He's on the NFL commissioner's exempt list. He's not playing a game right now. Unless Roger Goodell steps in and says, you're not playing anything until we get all of this shit settled. He's going to make whatever team he goes to better just like that. And all of a sudden, what looked like a top 10 pick is now 15. But if you wait until the offseason, the Dolphins are still going to stink, the Panthers are still going to stink, and the Broncos are still going to stink, and all of them will have top 10 picks, and now you can take the pick of the litter. Who's got the best offer? That's why I would wait, but we'll see. Shit's heating up, and the clock is ticking. If something's going to get done, I think it needs to be done this week. I don't think you can wait until next week, but again, deadlines spur action. So if it doesn't get done this week, we could see something happen the 24th hour. Literally, as that clock is ticking down, something gets done on Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning, or something gets done Monday night. Adam Schefter, breaking news on Monday Night Football is we're watching Giants Chiefs. Deshaun Watson, in a blockbuster move, has been traded to Fill in the blank. ... More likely than not, the Miami Dolphins. They've got the most ammunition, and to me, they feel like they've got the most talent, and they do. Of all these teams, Carolina, Denver, even though Denver is pretty high on the list, I will say. Denver has a ton of offensive talent, but theirs is injured. Dolphins have a ton of talent. They just don't know what the hell to do with it right now. And maybe that is a byproduct of Tua. I don't know. I don't understand why there's this haste to get rid of Tua, but anyway, I digress. We're going to see something happen this week, or I don't think it's going to happen at all until the offseason. There are other guys that I'm interested in to see if they move, like Marlon Mack. He can help someone. Seriously. And it's funny, every player that's available, Carolina's name always comes up. They shouldn't be interested in Marlon Mack. They got Chuba Hubbard. They got Christian McCaffrey coming off of injury here shortly. Marlon Mack, if I'm Mack, I don't want to go anywhere near Carolina. I don't want to go anywhere where I could potentially be the third guy on the totem pole. If I felt like who really should have went and gotten him immediately after the injury to Mostert was the San Francisco 49ers. Marlon Mack could have been exactly what they needed. A one cut and go back that can stick his foot in the ground and take off. In that Shanahan system, he could have been the difference between them being at this moment 2-4 or being 4-2 or 3-3 right now. But instead, they decided to wait. I think it's too late now. I mean, you get him now and maybe he helps, but I think the confidence of that team is starting to wane. The Chiefs were interesting, but I look, they're in no position to be giving away any more draft picks. They've given away enough draft capital as is. I don't think they're in a position to give up any more of it. They've got backs anyway. You know, they like Darrell Williams. They've got Jerick McKinnon. At some point, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to come back. So I don't think they're in a position right now to do anything at the running back position. But that was another intriguing team. I'm trying to kind of go around the league and see who has an issue at running back. I don't really see any teams. You know, the Rams would have been another interesting team, but I think they're cool with what they have, and they've already, again, they're another team really can't afford to give up any more draft capital. Seriously. So I'm thinking about any teams that could have a playoff push in them. There's some teams that I think they could upgrade, but I mean they're comfortable with their second back. Like Cincinnati, they're cool with Samaje Perine. He's playing well for them, but I think Marlon Mack is an upgrade over Samaje Perine, but that's nor here nor there. Let's see. I think Tennessee could use him as a backup to Derrick Henry, but again, I mean, how many times are you taking Derrick Henry off the field? And are you really going to trade him in division? Like, are you really looking to do that? I don't think they are. I think the Ravens could use him. You know, they got all these veteran backs, but none of them are true difference makers. I mean, you stick Marlon Mack in that backfield with Lamar Jackson, he hits a seam and he can go. Devontae Freeman isn't going anywhere. Le'Veon Bell isn't going anywhere. And Latavius Murray isn't going anywhere. They got a geriatric group of running backs. Like, no one's afraid of the Ravens backfield. If I'm at the point now where if I'm defending the Ravens and Lamar Jackson is doing read option, I'm going after Lamar. Give it to the running back. You're faster than every running back on your team. Give it to the running back. I know I can catch him with an angle. I cannot catch you with an angle. Give it to the running back. They could use him, I think, in Baltimore. So I think there are some teams out there that could definitely use a Marlon Mack. I still think Brandon Cooks is a guy that should be on the move. I think he can help someone at receiver. Like if I'm Green Bay, and I don't know what kind of money. I just know Green Bay is snatching up every guy that hits the free agent market. I don't know if they're willing to give up any draft capital to get a player, but I look at Green Bay and I'm saying you're one true threat at receiver away from turning that offense from to, oh shit, here come the Packers. Like they're one guy away. Like Randall Cobb is cool. We know what Devontae Adams is. You know, we know what Robert Tonyan is at the tight end position, and that's a huge help. I'm not afraid of Allen Lazard. I'm sorry, I'm not. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he's cool. He can get deep, all that good stuff. Nobody's afraid of him either. If he's not catching a 77-yard touchdown, ain't nobody afraid of MVS. Cooks is a difference maker. Like I could see that really being the missing piece in Green Bay. You know, at one point before they got Josh Gordon, I thought Kansas City would have been again, I don't think they're in a position to give up any draft capital though. You know what I'm saying? Just already giving up too much in future drafts to try to help this team win now. I don't know if you're in a good spot to be giving up any more draft capital if you are the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just, it's tough. If I were a team like Indianapolis, and I know they value their draft picks, I'd go after a Brandon Cooks. But again, how much money is left on that contract? What are we talking about? And these are things you have to take into consideration. What am I going to have to give up? But if you could give up like a 4th round pick for Brandon Cooks and you're Indianapolis, are you kidding me? Again, if you're Houston, are you trying to deal him in the division? Highly unlikely, but you telling me, and again, I know that this ship is probably sailed. You telling me the 49ers can't use a Brandon Cooks on their team? Seriously? I mean, I get it. I understand where they are in the season right now, but I think there's a lot of guys that could definitely use a Brandon Cooks. You know, there's some players that are really intriguing that I think are available. The question is, are teams going to be willing to give up what it's going to take to get these players? And that's usually what the hang-up is in the NFL. When we talk about trade deadline, most teams aren't willing to give up what it's going to take to get a guy. And that's the problem in the NFL, but we will see. So let's transition to our next segment, Slate Skating, week number 7 in the National Football League. We'll go through these games quickly. As we talked about on Overtime last night, this was a very lackluster week 7. After a week 6 that was thrilling from start to finish, it was a great week of football the previous week. This week was ho-hum, and we'll go through this very quickly and get out of here, get the garbage time and get out of here. So we start on, Sunday with the Washington football team at the Green Bay Packers. 24-10 win for the Packers. This game was truly competitive, but Washington just couldn't score in the red zone. The Washington football team did not punt a single time in this game. They outgained the Packers by over 100 yards. The Packers did not amass 300 yards of total offense. Aaron Jones was a non-factor, pretty much invisible. Devontae Adams was, for the most part, held in check. He did have 6 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown, but by his standards, that's a, modest game. Rodgers, he was really efficient, like 24 of 35 for like 270 and 3 touchdowns, but that was a very winnable game for Washington. They were in that game, and their inability to score in the red zone is what ultimately doomed them. They were in the red zone 4 times, was Washington. Over 400 yards of total offense in the football game. Their quarterback had 95 yards rushing, did Taylor Heineke on 11 carries. He had also 268 yards passing. They moved the football with relative ease against the Packers, but in the red zone, 0 of 4 and no points, including a blocked field goal, an interception, a touchdown that was a touchdown, then wasn't a touchdown, and then a failed 4th down conversion. Every way you could imagine not scoring, Washington did it, including trying to fumble the football away inside the 10-yard line, but luckily enough, they were able to recover. So Washington did everything in their power to lose, and they did, 24-10. I keep saying this Packers team, yes, they're banged up. I will admit their defense in particular really banged up. Neither of the Smith bros played. Neither did Jair Alexander, nor did Jair Alexander. That's their best cornerback. So they're definitely banged up. No excuses though. This is a Washington defense that had been giving it up to any and everybody, and yet the Packers only scored 24. And you could argue one of those touchdowns was a gift. A forced fumble by Rashawn Gary gave them field position inside the Washington 30-yard line, and Rodgers quickly took advantage, hitting Robert Tonyan for a 24-yard touchdown. So this was a Packers team that did not look all that impressive in this football game, but they continue to win. That's the most important part. They get the win, 24-10. They're now 6-1 on the season. Are the Packers? Washington drops to 2-5 with the loss. Titans at Chiefs. This was a one-sided ass kicking if I've ever seen one, and the score doesn't do it justice. Honestly, the Chiefs were never in this football game. This was really impressive by the Titans, and this is a Titans defense that had struggled this season to stop teams from scoring. They looked dominant in this game. Tyreek Hill, non-factor. Travis Kelce, non-factor. Patrick Mahomes, non-factor. They banged him up. They hit him routinely, forced him to fumble multiple times, picked him off, and then ultimately injured him and knocked Mahomes from the football game. This Chiefs offense right now is reeling. They're struggling. They don't know where to turn. The offensive line that's supposed to be revamped is okay. It's not great. The skill position guys, for whatever reason, it's just not enough. And again, I don't want to try and simplify things to just, they're missing Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins makes a difference. He doesn't make this big of a difference. There were times last year and the year before where Sammy Watkins was out for 4 to 5 weeks at a time, and they did not have these issues. I don't know what the problem is. I wish I could put my finger on it, other than maybe the league has figured some things out. And one of the things the league has figured out is, hey, we're not letting Tyreek Hill deep. We're going to keep 2 safeties back. You can run the football if you like. You can run it wherever you like. Yeah, but we know that's not how you score your points. Are you going to remain? Is Patrick Mahomes going to remain patient? Is he going to continue to take the check down? Is he going to continue to check from a pass to a run because it's a light box? Or is he going to try to force something and make something happen? And what we've seen is that Mahomes can't help himself. He's got to make something happen. Man, did he struggle in this game. And it's not like the Titans were killing them on the ground. Derrick Henry, 29 carries, 86 yards. That's a really poor game by his standards. Tannehill was solid, 21 of 27 for 270, a touchdown and an INT. But, what really ultimately doomed them was their inability to move the football and stop turning it over. They had 3 turnovers in this game, did the Chiefs. And you can't win that way. Not on the road against a team that I don't know if the Titans are necessarily that much better than the Chiefs, although they looked it in this game. But you can't do that against a team that is at least on the same playing field as you. They got routed in this game, did the Chiefs. And luckily enough for them, they've got an NFC East get out of jail free card coming up against the Giants. So that's going to help them. But boy, was this impressive by the Titans. My goodness, that defense was flying around. They forced Mahomes into mistakes. They forced him to fumble. And like I said, ultimately knocked him from the game. They're playing some exceptional ball. It's so funny what a difference a month can make. Just a month ago, we were talking about this Titans team losing to the Jets. Remember that? And we're like, oh my God, the Titans stink. And now 3 weeks later, 3 wins later, including wins over Buffalo and Kansas City in dominating fashion versus the Chiefs. Now the Titans all of a sudden look like a very, very dangerous team in the AFC. They got a big one this week against the Indianapolis Colts at home. They've already beaten the Colts once this season. They're looking for the season sweep. They've got to go to Indy to get it. However, that's a big one. They win that game, they're going to win the AFC South running away. They lose that game, things get pretty interesting in the AFC South division. Falcons, Dolphins. Dolphins have another heartbreaking loss. They had one last week over in London to the Jaguars. They have another one here at home this time to the Atlanta Falcons, 30-28. Falcons get a walk-off field goal from Younghoe Koo to win this one as regulation expires. Matt Ryan went off on them, but more in particular, their first round draft pick, Kyle Pitts, went off on the Miami Dolphins. And it's one thing to be carving up safeties and linebackers around the league. It's another thing when they split him out, put him on the Dolphins' best man-to-man corner, Xavier Howard, and go at that man like he's a chump. And that's exactly what the Falcons did, is they went after Xavier Howard like his name was Javius Howard. Like he was some clown that they just pulled off the practice squad and they were going to eat. I mean, game on the line, and Matt Ryan drops back and without hesitation, no hezzy, throws it up to Kyle Pitts one-on-one with the safety coming over. He gets there just a tad too late. It's a big 36-yard completion, setting the Falcons up in field goal range, and they would walk it off. Ryan, 336 yards in this game, but more importantly, Kyle Pitts, 7 catches, 163 yards in this game. This was one of his breakout games. Didn't have any touchdowns, but this was his breakout performance. This guy's going to be a handful in this league. I mean, we knew it coming out of Florida, but my goodness. And Cordero Patterson continues to be Mr. Do-It-All for that Falcons offense. 14 carries, 60 yards, and another rush touchdown. Again, Tua, not bad. Again, I don't know, man. I mean, he had 2 interceptions, and so that hurts you. But he had 4 touchdown passes, 32 of 40 for 291, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It does sound Teddy Bridgewater-ish. It sounds Teddy Bridgewater-ish. Those numbers do. And maybe that's the biggest knock on him right now. And I know that for a fact. I've been saying, and I feel like it's the offense. But then when Ryan Fitzpatrick was in there, this wasn't the case. So maybe it is Tua. They don't go down the field when Tua's in the game, for whatever reason. Everything's nickel and dime, dink and dunk underneath. I don't know why that is, but whatever the case may be, this was a back and forth game. The Dolphins had every opportunity to win. All they needed was another couple of plays, down the stretch, and they win this football game, but they just couldn't get it done. And so when you're 1-6, that's what happens. You find ways to lose football games, and that they did. And if you're Atlanta, man, you're kicking yourself over some of those games early in the season, especially the one against Washington. You beat them, you're 4-2 right now. I mean, the Falcons are playing exceptional football, and all of a sudden, Arthur Smith has these boys believing in playing some competent football. Now they're going to get an opportunity to beat Carolina next week, and all of a sudden, they're over 500 after starting the season off struggling. This is a Falcons team now that has a chance to get over 500. They were 1-3 at one point this season. Now they've got a chance to rally off 3 straight and get to over 500. Look out for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm just saying they're playing with confidence, especially on the offensive side of the football. Man, oh man, was this the ass thrashing of the year to this point or what? I talked so much trash about the Patriots' inability to score, and then they put up a 50 burger on the Jets. I'm talking hamburger grease dripping down the side of your cheek, a little bit of cheese left in the corner of your mouth right here. That was a disgusting 50 burger. I mean, the kind where you got hamburger grease dripping down your forearms, but you don't stop. You just take another bite. The Jets are bad, man. They are horrible. Zach Wilson goes down right before halftime in the second quarter with a knee injury. He's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks with a sprained MCL. But it didn't stop there. I mean, they bring in Mike White at quarterback, and he stunk it up. He threw 2 interceptions. And the Patriots, who hadn't scored more than, 20, what did they score against the Cowboys? 28 in that game? 29, I think it was. They went to overtime tied at 29. They scored 54 points in this game. They're two of their 3 highest outputs this season have come against the Jets. And I'd like to think that in the 2 games against the Jets, they forced, let's see how many turnovers they forced in this game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 5. 3, only 3. It felt like 5. 3 turnovers in this game. They forced, I think, 6 or 7 the first time they played the Jets. Yikes. And now you've got people calling for the head of Robert Saleh in his first year as a head coach. I don't think he needs to be fired, but ass whoopings like these start to turn into fireable offenses. Now, it's early. I don't think they're very talented. That's where it all really starts, begins and ends really is. I just don't think they're a very talented team. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done with this Jets football team, but my God, 54 points to the Patriots? Unbelievable. I mean, 551 yards of total offense for the New England Patriots in this game. 551. I mean, they had, I think it was 31-3. This is when I knew this thing was going to be trouble. It was 31-7 at halftime. I was like, oh my God, this thing is going to get ugly. I didn't think they would. I thought they would take their foot off the gas pedal at some point. They didn't. I mean, they drubbed them like they were playing South Illinois State and they're Alabama, and it was like, just run it up, run the check up. We'll assess the damage later. Yikes. How often is it we see an NFL game be 54-13? That's a college football score. The Jets are awful, and the Patriots now are back to 500, or excuse me, one game under 500 at 3-4. Don't count the Patriots out. They're a well-coached team, and they've got some talent. I still think they're lacking in certain areas, but you put a lesser team in front of them, they're going to win most of those games. And I think every now and again, they're going to be capable of beating teams that are better than them as well. Giants at the Panthers. This was probably my most surprising outcome of week 7. Not because the Giants won, but in the manner that they won. They truly dominated the Panthers. I thought the Panthers not only were going to win this game, but I thought they were going to be able to muzzle that Giants offense that a week ago could barely bust a grape against the Rams. And I thought that, this ferocious Panthers defense that started off the season as the number 1 rated defense, and we get it. We know who they played to start off the season and why their defense was rated number 1. But the fact of the matter is, I looked at the Giants and where they were offensively and all the guys that they had out, no Saquon Barkley, and coming off of being embarrassed last week against the Rams, I just felt like they were prime for the picking for the Carolina Panthers, and the Panthers came out and absolutely laid an egg. I mean, this egg stunk, and they're terrible right now, and the Giants suffocated them on defense. That's where it started, and then they started doing trickeration. Daniel Jones with double reverse passes that he has to one-hand grab, and like they started having fun on these boys. I said, man, the Panthers truly do stink. I wish we were playing the Panthers this week. They have no idea who their quarterback is. They benched Sam Darnold in the fourth quarter in relief or in favor of Philip. What's the quarterback's name? Philip Walker. PJ Walker. And he wasn't any better. He came in and he was 3 of 14. Okay, he was just a big 10 of garbage. And Darnold stinks. He's back to no confidence Sam Darnold again, and Carolina's back at a crossroads. And Matt Rule is growing impatient, as he should, and that's why I think you're hearing their name surface now in this Sam Darnold sweepstakes. They're getting nothing from the running back position. They can't wait to get Christian McCaffrey back, and he'll make a ton of difference for them when he does come back. But it was shocking to see how this game turned out. The Giants literally dominated this game. The Panthers had 173 yards of total offense to the Giants 302. The Giants were 7 of 16 on third downs. Meanwhile, the Panthers were 2 of 15. The Panthers had 103 rush yards. The Giants had 103 rush yards. The Panthers only 56. It was a massacre. They sacked Sam Darnold 6 times. He was under duress. They just did whatever they wanted, and they win this game. I mean, for the longest time, the score of this game, I believe, was like 5-3. 5-3. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is incredible. It's 5-3. It was like 5-3 for like a quarter and a half. And then the Giants scored that touchdown to go up 12-3, and I'm like, they're going to win this game. And then they just ran away and hid. 25-3. The Panthers, man, they stink right now. Yikes. Giants get the win. They're 2-5, and now they get their prize for winning. They get to go on the road against the Chiefs, who are struggling themselves. We'll see if the Giants can build off the momentum of this win, or if the Chiefs get back to the winning column with the Giants coming to town. If that was the biggest surprise in terms of me not expecting something to happen, this right here was the biggest, oh my God, you are serious. Because I knew Cincinnati could go to Baltimore and win. And I've talked about the Ravens. The Ravens, they're 5-2. They could easily be 2-5 right now. And I think everyone understands that this Ravens team has gotten lucky. And the ball has bounced their way, literally. Their kicker kicks a 68-yard field goal, and it hits the crossbar and bounces through. The ball literally bounced their way. Patrick Mahomes fumbles, and the ball literally bounces their way. They recover and ultimately win the game. Bounces are literally going in their favor. So they're 5-2 right now, but they could easily be 2-5. So them losing to Cincinnati wasn't out of the realm of possibility. However, them losing 41-17 at the crib, however, wasn't something that was in the cards. And it's the way that it happened that was so impressive, because Burrow throws for 416, 3 touchdowns. But Jamar Chase, 201. We all saw the 70-yard, 60 yard touchdown, catches it, breaks a couple of tackles, runs away from a couple of defenders. We all saw that play. But it's the way that they hung in this game. You just kept waiting for the Ravens to make a big play and pull away. And this thing was 17-13 after Marquise Brown catches a 39-yard touchdown. And it's a hell of a catch, back of the end zone, gets his second foot down miraculously, and they take the lead 17-13. And that was the play I thought, okay, here come the Ravens. The Bengals are going to get stuck on 13. The Ravens are going to run and hide. They're going to score another touchdown, go up 24-13. And then maybe the Bengals score a field goal to cut it to an 8-point lead. And now they need to stop, and they can't get it. And Baltimore wins this game like 27-16 or something like that. No, you're thinking about the old Bengals, okay? This new Bengals, all right, they don't know any better. Bunch of young boys out there running around having fun. CJ Uzomah was a madman on National Tight Ends Day. His ass went to work on that Ravens defense. Let me see how many yards receiving, because Jamar Chase went over 200. CJ Uzomah might have went over 100. While you bullshitting, he had 3 for 91 and 2 touchdowns, including a 55-yarder for CJ Uzomah. He was extraordinary in this game. Jamar Chase, 8 catches, 201 yards, including the 82-yarder for the touchdown. And, I just got to say this again, because there were so many people out there that thought they knew, okay? Thought they knew. Oh my God, how could you take a receiver when this team needs to protect their number 1 overall pick in Joe Burrow, who went down in a heap last year because the offensive line couldn't protect him? They're doing a disservice to this guy. This is why he needs to be traded, because they're going to let this guy crumble behind this offensive line. And I'm like, shut up. You're drafting top 5. You take the best available player. You don't start reaching for needs. You take the best available player and you figure the rest of that shit out. And Jamar Chase, for that team especially, was the best available player. And I said, he's going to make beautiful music with Joe Burrow. Remember all the drops in the preseason and all of the, people that wanted them to draft Penei Sewell? All the Penei Sewell stands came out of nowhere. See, he can't even catch. Oh, yeah? This man is on pace to set an NFL record for the most receiving yards by a rookie in NFL history. He's already ahead of the pace set by Randy Moss, which is one of the greatest rookie seasons we've ever seen. Justin Jefferson was ridiculous last year. He's going to smash that if he stays healthy. These Bengals, man, I talked about their defense. That's the thing look, the offense, I'm not surprised by their offense. It's their defense right now that I've been telling you guys about week after week, and it didn't look it against Jacksonville. I concede that, but they had some guys out with injury. They kept Lamar Jackson under wraps in this game, and Lamar missed some throws, okay? He'll tell you that. But, they didn't give it up in this game. right now the Bengals are good on both sides of the football. They're dangerous. And they got a lethal field goal kicker, a young rookie field goal kicker. They're a dangerous team. They're 5-2, just like the Ravens. They're now atop the AFC North. Who would have thought 7 weeks in, we'd be talking about the AFC North leading with all of the heavyweights in that division, Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Cleveland off of the season they had last year. Who would have thought that we'd be talking about the AFC North leading Cincinnati Bengals? Joe Mixon looks good. Samaje Perine is backing him up. He had a big run, an exclamation point run at the end of that game. Their offensive line is playing their asses off. Joe Burrow is getting back in the saddle. Jamar Chase is a beast. They've got receivers that complement him well. You've got CJ Uzomah playing at a high level at the tight end position. The defense, and I've talked about the names. You know them because I keep talking about them. Trey Hendrickson and Chidobe Awuzie and Mike Hilton. All of these guys that came over in free agency have all contributed to this defense being exponentially better. And the Bengals are now 5-2 on the season. Ravens, they're okay. They're fine. They'll be able to pick themselves up and dust themselves off. But that's an ugly one at the crib, if I may say so myself. Raiders, home for the Eagles, win 33-22. This was a game that I thought could go the way that it did. I did not expect, however, the Raiders to be up as much as they were at one point. They were up 30-7 in this game. Did not expect them to jump on the Eagles. And Derek Carr, 31 of 34 for 323, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. 3 incompletions for Derek Carr in this game. That's it. And you probably say to yourself, well, he was probably nickel and diamond. And he was. But he'd also, you don't get 323 yards passing on nickel and diamond. Okay? Not on 34 attempts, you don't. So, he was out there. He pushed it down the field quite a bit, but he took what the defense was giving him, and they lost their running back early in this game. Jacobs, I think right before halftime, he scored a touchdown, left the game, did not return with a chest contusion. The Eagles lost Miles Sanders early in this ball game. Here's the problem with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is your leading passer and your leading rusher. That's the same thing every week, it seems like, for the Eagles. Now, you can say, well, Lamar Jackson is the leading rusher for the Ravens and the leading passer for the Ravens. It's different because Lamar Jackson is dynamic. Jalen Hurts, he's solid. He's not dynamic. He's not a Heisman Trophy winner. He's not an NFL MVP winner. He's Jalen Hurts, and he misses throws. And this Eagles team offensively, they're just not good enough right now. They're just not good enough. And defensively, which we thought they could hang their hat on, they're not good enough there either. They've had some games where they've had some letdowns against Dallas on a Monday night, here against the Raiders. The Buccaneers game, they couldn't stop the Bucs until it felt like the Bucs took their foot off the gas pedal. The defense has been disappointing for the Eagles this season as well. And this is another big win for the Raiders. I know it's the Eagles and the NFC East stinks, and they're just taking care of business as they should. But that's 2 in a row for Rich Bisaccia as the interim head coach in Vegas. And they're rallying around him, and I wouldn't count the Vegas Raiders out. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. The AFC is loaded. They're going to have to do a lot more work in that division. I still don't trust them against Kansas City and the Chargers and teams like that in their own division, even though, they look like they're better than the Chiefs right now. I still am taking a wait and see approach on Vegas because they did this to me last year. They played some good football at times last year. You looked up, they were squarely in a position to make a run at the postseason, and then they faltered and flailed down the stretch. This team seems like they've got a little bit more juice defensively, though. That team last year couldn't stop a wet napkin. This team this year defensively, they can get after the quarterback. They sacked Jalen Hurts, I want to say at least 5 times in this game. Let's see how many sacks they had. They had 2 sacks. It felt like more than 2 sacks. He can run. It felt like more than 2 sacks. But this defense is a lot better. How much better? Is it enough? We'll see. But Vegas looks impressive. Derek Carr was crazy. And remember, they did all of this, did the Vegas Raiders, without their best pass-catching target and threat in Darren Waller. He was out. Foster Moreau stepped up, had a solid game, including a touchdown grab, and everybody else picked up the pieces. as the Raiders win 33-22. They're now 5-2 on the season. Eagles 2-5. Rams Lions. This game was a lot closer than everybody bargained for. If you were in a survivor pool and you picked the Rams this week, you were sweating a bit because in the fourth quarter, this is a 19-17 game. The Lions are up. And you're probably asking yourself, what the hell is Jared Goff really going to go back to L.A. and get some revenge? Revenge. No, the answer is no. Late in this game, I think the two quarterbacks showed you exactly why they are where they are. Stafford made some big-time throws to Cooper Kupp and took him down the field when he had to put this game out of reach. Some of these throws to Cooper Kupp, like you just had to perfectly lay the football over the defense and put it where it was. And he'd been missing some of those throws earlier in the season. He's starting to hit some of those throws. Cooper Kupp was ridiculous. He had to have over 170 yards receiving. Let's see. 156. 10 catches, 156, 2 touchdowns. Khalif Raymond was really good in this game. I said that on overtime yesterday. 6 catches, 115 yards. He did Ullman-like work. But when the game was on the line, Stafford made the plays. 28 of 41 for 334 and 3 touchdowns. And Jared Goff showed you why Sean McVay couldn't get him out of L.A. fast enough. There's an interception by Jalen Ramsey. It's a hell of a play by Ramsey, first of all. Ramsey did everything. He devoured Jared Goff on one play. He forced a fumble on another play of the running back, and then he made an interception. Ramsey was all over the field. That's why you pay him the big bucks. That's why you pay Aaron Donald. That's why you pay Ramsey. Guys like that get paid because they are difference makers. And when plays need to be made, and there was no bigger spot than this. The Lions are threatening. They're going down the field. They are threatening to take the lead after the Rams just took the lead on a Stafford to Jared Goff touchdown offering, or a Cooper Kupp, excuse me, a Stafford to Cooper Kupp touchdown offering, and they're threatening to take the lead. And in steps Jalen Ramsey for an interception, and that's Jared Goff in a nutshell. I mean, got a chance to win the game, throws a pick. Again, great play by Ramsey, but can't throw that pick there in that situation. And they get a field goal late to ice this thing, 28-19. This Rams team, they're interesting. Now, first of all, let me say this. The Lions are better than 0-7. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if they won this week against the Eagles. I really would not. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles beat them. I mean, because that's why they're 0-7. Some weeks they show up, other weeks they, like last week, I thought they could beat Cincinnati. They got a mud hole stomped in them by Cincinnati. Now we're starting to see Cincinnati's not bullshitting around. But I thought they could be, coming off of some of those losses, and they were tough, heartbreaking at Minnesota, and, had the Ravens at home on the ropes, let them off the hook. I'm like, here's an opportunity against Cincinnati, and they got a mud hole stomped on them. Then they show up the next week after getting embarrassed at home, and they nearly pull off the upset against the Rams. So who knows what team's going to show up? They might go home next week and get the draws beat off of them 33-10 by the Eagles. Or they could get their first win of the season. Either way, they're a dangerous team, are the Lions. This Rams team, they're interesting. They're like Green Bay in a sense that I'm like, they're good, but how good are you really? The biggest difference is they have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on defense, and the Packers don't. And that's the biggest. And now the Packers have Aaron Rodgers, and the Rams don't. They got Stafford. So those teams are really similar, if you ask me. Like, I feel like they're really good teams. Both of them are 6-1. I feel like neither of them are good enough for you to just crown them anything. I think Tampa Bay could beat both of those teams. Like a healthy, good Tampa Bay team beats the Rams and Green Bay. I think that's the pecking order right now in the NFC, if you ask me. I think the Rams are better than Green Bay, but not by much. I think Arizona is better than both the Rams and the Packers. It's going to be interesting. This NFC is top heavy. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. Hey, just get the win. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just get the win, and that they did. Texans, Cardinals. Look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The Texans are just as bad as the Jets, and the Dolphins and all these again, the Texans have a win, and when they get Tyrod Taylor back, they won't look as bad as they've looked for the last 6 weeks. Okay, and Tyrod Taylor may be back this week, so we'll see. But without Tyrod Taylor, they're one of the worst teams in the league. And without Tyrod Taylor, the Lions are better than them. The Lions are better than the Jets, even though the Jets have a win. The Texans stink. Offensively, they're inconsistent. They turn it over too much. They make too many mistakes. They do all of the things that bad football teams do to end up 1-6. Meanwhile, the Arizona Cardinals sleptwalked their way through this game early on. Took them a while to wake up. This was a 5-0 game, midway through the second quarter before the Cardinals woke up and said, okay, what are we doing here? It's the Houston Texans. We better stop bullshitting around before they really start to gain some confidence and we find ourselves in a dogfight. So they turned it up, scored 17 unanswered points in the second quarter, and then ultimately scored 31 unanswered points to win this game 31-17. The biggest takeaway from this game is that Zach Ertz is going to make a massive difference in this offense. He came in and right away led them in receiving 3 catches, 66 yards, including a touchdown that was probably about a good 35 yards or so where he caught it and then outran the defense. He's the missing piece to that offense. And I said it, those are the kinds of moves you want to see teams make that are contenders. Go out and get that missing piece. I think the Arizona Cardinals just did that by acquiring Zach Ertz. Perfect fit for their offense. Exactly what they were missing was a game-changing tight end. They're now complete on offense. The only thing that scares me with them is, if you're a Washington fan, you can attest to this. Every time Taylor Heinicke gets hit, you cringe because he's so little and you know that he's not built to take on hits in the NFL. Kyler Murray is the same way. Every time he gets hit, he stays down for a while. You're worried. You're holding your breath. He got hit in this game. Matter of fact, they hit him and kept him in the end zone for a safety, and it took him about 2 minutes to get up. And that's the thing that scares me with Arizona. If Kyler Murray isn't healthy, they're not the same team, obviously. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. He's got to stay healthy, and anytime he gets hit, you get worried. But man, does he make some throws. He's in the MVP discussion right now. 20 of 28, 261, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. There's a throw in this game to A.J. Green. It's A.J. Green right down the sidelines in the honey hole between the corner and the safety. And I don't know how the hell he gets it in there. But he gets it in there. And A.J.'s just tight roping the sideline, waiting. The ball drops in there perfectly. Kyler Murray's a beast. They're now 7-0. The only undefeated team left in the NFL, and they're playing like it. 31-5 is the final score. Texans now 1-6. This last game, Bucks Bears, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one either. This one was 31-3 at halftime. This was a total out ass thrashing by the Buccaneers. I mean, the kind where you get your shoes, coat, and your hat tooken, man. Old-fashioned, passionate ass whooping, getting your shoes, coat, and hat tooken. They sacked Justin Fields on the first possession of the game, forced him to fumble. They're lucky that Ross Cockrell had stones for hands and couldn't recover that fumble, or else this is a 40-burger here. They sacked him, forced him to fumble 2 more times in the first half. The Bucks did recover those 2 fumbles. Justin Fields threw 3 interceptions in this game. The Bears stink. I'm so upset that they're 3-4 right now. Donate 1 or 2 of those wins to my team. We could actually do something with them. They stink, man. Man, is this a bad team. And, let me just say this before I rail on the Bears. Justin Fields has enough to worry about as a rookie quarterback. He's got what I think is a very lackluster play caller in Matt Nagy. He's got an awful, woeful offensive line. He's got the speed of the game that's running circles around his head. And he's got to adjust to all the things going on at the line of scrimmage, setting up protections, this, that, and the third. What he doesn't need is for his teammates to be letting him down with drops. Like on 3rd down early in this game, 7-0. You're trying to respond after a gut punch, after you fumble and they take the fumble and they score a touchdown. And he throws it to his tight end, Tyler Bray, who's open. Catch the football. Catch the football. I mean, what are we doing? Then he throws a pick where, why is Allen Robinson falling down on the ground. What are we doing? You got to help your young quarterback out. But he was bad in this game. They were bad in this game. The offensive line was trash in this game. Let me see how many sacks the Bucs had. It felt like 6 or 7. And remember, the Browns had like 27 sacks, and I think Myles Garrett had 4.5 by himself. You can get sacks on Justin Fields. He holds on to it too long. The Bears' offensive line is a mess. They had 4 sacks in this game. They're terrible, man. And the Bucs took full advantage. And Brady gets his 600 passing touchdown. The most exciting thing in this game was Brady's 600 touchdown pass ball getting given away to a fan, and Mike Evans having to negotiate with the fan after he scored his second touchdown, because Mike Evans scored the first touchdown, which was his 600th of Brady's career, and the 600th of Brady's career. Evans then picks up the ball, hands it to a fan unknowingly, and so after he scores his next touchdown, he goes back, finds that fan, switches out the ball, and that fan ends up getting a bunch of other things. You heard some of the things that Brady gave that fan on Monday Night Football when he was on with the Mannings. But at the end of the day, to me, even though they lost to the Rams, the Buccaneers are still the best team in the NFC. Even though the Cardinals have the best record, I think the Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC conference, and we'll see. We'll see if that holds true or not. But if they get any kind of continuity in that secondary, if they get some guys back and they are able to get any kind of fluidity back in the back end, with what they can do up front with their defensive line and what they can do offensively. I think they did this without Antonio Brown in this game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think A.B. played in this game. Yet he didn't. Yet they went apeshit. Chris Godwin was huge. Mike Evans was huge. Jalen Darden with a huge punt return. I didn't realize this, but his 43-yard punt return on the opening possession of the game after the Bucs were able to force a punt is the longest punt return this year in the NFL, and it didn't even go for a touchdown. Longest punt return in the league. So punt returns are down in terms of big ones being made. But the Bucs dominated this thing 6 ways to Sunday. They are now 6-1 on the season and rolling. And now they've got the Saints. They've got a chance to really distance themselves from the rest of that division. They beat the Saints. They're going to pretty much wave bye-bye to everyone in that division. So with that said, let's wrap up today's show with garbage time. And honestly, I don't have a lot to say on garbage time. I'll just get to these super chats and then we'll get out of here. The Black Al Bundy, my guy Black Al B, thank you for the super chat, greatly appreciate you, who writes, "What up, Lou? Off topic, but what's that song you sing when you lock in a pick? It's hilarious and I want to know its origins." Lock it up, lock it up. I don't know where I heard it, but I heard it on a show that I used to watch, a syndicated program in the morning. And that's the song he used to play when he would have his locks of the week. So you're going to have to type those lyrics in on Google's search engine and find it. I can't help you. I just know I heard it, and I thought it was catchy as well. That's why I sing it now. But lock it up, lock it up. Trey Fryer, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Trey Fryer writes, "I think Danny Johnson is better than William Jackson III. Guy can tackle, knows, and understands man and zone. Yeah, he got beat a few times, but love what I saw. I did too, but they don't play the same position. Danny Johnson is a nickel corner only. William Jackson III is primarily a boundary corner. So if anything, you want Kendall Fuller to stay outside and you want Benjamin St. Juste to stay outside. Hence, William Jackson III stays on the bench and Danny Johnson stays inside, because what's going to happen when William Jackson III is healthy is he's going to come back onto the field. Benjamin St. Juste is going to stay on the field outside as a boundary, opposite of William Jackson III, and Kendall Fuller is going to come back inside to the slot, and that's going to force Danny Johnson off the field. I liked what I saw from Danny Johnson as well, and I would like to see him get more opportunities, just like you. But again, it's going to have to come at somebody's expense. I want to see more of William Jackson III because I think he has a chance to really be dynamic. You know, he's already got 2 interceptions on the season. He's been one of the few playmakers in that secondary. He's given up some things, obviously, but if he is what we thought he was when we signed him, he could be a difference maker in that secondary. I want to continue to see him get opportunities to kind of shake off the rust and figure out how to play in this system and this scheme and see if he can't get to his true potential. But again, Danny Johnson, I want to see more. They've got to figure out a way to get him on the field because I agree with you. I think he is a really good football player, and I want to see more. Let's see. Dave in DC. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dave in DC writes, hello, Lou. What's up, Dave? He says, love your show. First super chat. Really appreciate you for that. Glad to hear from you. Look forward to chopping it up with you in the near future. He says, I like Tua over Watson for DC. Two bad hips on one team are better than one. Tua is mega talented and elite arm accuracy. I don't like him over Watson. Now there is and Watson's not coming to DC first and foremost, and Ron's not interested in Watson, and I can't stress that enough. But Tua is interesting, and it doesn't sound like we're interested in him either. But he's interesting to me. I don't know why people are so sour on him, and maybe I'm missing something. Maybe he is Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe he is a dink and dunk quarterback, super accurate underneath, but is a guy that's going to constantly make mistakes down the field, and you got to be really careful in what you can call because he will turn it over, and he's been fragile. That's something else to consider as well. But I don't really understand all of the Tua hate. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I just feel like Tua is better than people are making him out to be. But what do I know, right? So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I want to take this comment from my guy, Sindeko, because he's been shouting this, and this will be the last thing we'll leave. We'll get out of here after this. Sindeko says, stop hyping up Joe Brady too. He's a fraud. Rumor is he was Tepper hire, not rules, and now there's tension. Worst second half, third quarter offense since he got here. Rules seat is hot. I like Joe Brady. I think Joe Brady's super smart and gets offensive football. I like some of the things he did with this offense last year. I just think Sam Darnold stinks. I mean, and you may be able to say that last year the offense struggled in the second half and it wasn't all that great. Okay, you didn't have Christian McCaffrey last year, and I remember you going to Kansas City and scoring damn near 30 and almost winning that game. I remember you going to L.A. when I didn't think you had a chance early in the season with no McCaffrey and winning that game. I remember a number of games where I thought you didn't stand a chance in hell, and that offense put up points, and unfortunately the defense wasn't good enough to get stops when you needed it to, and you lost games last year. But that's just me. And I'm not in tune to what's going on, and you know more about that offense and that team than I do. And so if you tell me that Brady's been underwhelming in his time in Carolina, I'm more apt to listen to you. I don't necessarily agree wholeheartedly because I know when he's given talent, he's able to do extraordinary things. See the LSU Tigers offense from 2019. Okay, when he's given talent, he's going to do extraordinary things. You've got some solid pieces in Carolina, but nothing earth-shattering, no game changers, to speak of there. And so you give him a subpar quarterback, no Christian McCaffrey, and he's looking around and saying, look, I did this shit last year with Teddy Bridgewater. At least he was serviceable. He's the black Alex Smith. I can't do this shit with Sam Darnold and no Christian McCaffrey again. Okay, now you're pushing it. So we'll see. You might be right. He might not be as good as I think, and I may be overrating him, but I think there's more there than meets the eye. I just don't think there's enough talent, and it starts with the quarterback position in Carolina, if you ask me. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Louie T Network podcast. If you're out there and you haven't already done so, please do me a huge favor. There's 150 of you out there, yet there are only 68 likes. That can change. It should change. Please hit the like button. But before you do that, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And once again, hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already blessed the like button to this point. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You know what it is. It's Wednesday. That means it's social media maneuvers. So come equipped with your questions. If you've got questions, I'll see if I've got answers to those questions. Either way, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Remember, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. You guys have a good one. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for all the well wishes for my wife and the pregnancy and the 2 little ones that are on the way. Thank you to all of you out there. And I will keep you posted and abreast of that situation. Until next time, you guys enjoy your evening.
LouieTeeNetwork.